Thank you, everyone. Hello and welcome. Thank you for coming. I'm Sue, one of the Community Commissioners. Let's begin at the beginning. A Poverty Truth Commission starts with an understanding that lasting social change happens when those who experience a struggle participate in generating change. The principle has been seen throughout history, from civil rights to suffragettes, from equality issues to the disability movement. And it's the principle that Poverty Truth Commissions are founded on. Nothing about us, without us, is for us. Poverty Truth Commissions start with people who know what it means to struggle against poverty. But they're not alone. There is a proverb that says, if you want to go far, go together. So a commission seeks to build relationships between people struggling against poverty and people in decision-making positions in civic and business institutions over time. And together, they learn about the complexities of poverty and explore possible solutions. So what does a commission look like? A Poverty Truth Commission begins by bringing together a group of experts through experience, people who have faced the struggle against poverty in their own lives, usually around 12 to 15 people. This group spends time together, sharing stories, listening to one another, and building relationships. Doing this together grows confidence and builds solidarity. I am an expert through experience, and I have lived at Townsend for 43 years. Just like the estate itself, I have gone through some good and some bad times, but at the end of the day, we are both still standing. I want to emphasise that not all the difficulties experienced have arisen from within the community, but often the solutions have come from it because of the strength of the friendships and trust that has built up over those many years, and this was particularly evident during the many months of lockdown. Likewise, the experience of being part of the PTC reflects this same strength of commitment. Over the weeks since March, we have bonded, built trust and friendship, and shared our personal experiences. Today is the public event where we collectively present our stories, which is attended by civic and business commissioners, the senior leaders from across society who have agreed to take part. Following this event, the whole group of 25 to 30 of us form the full commission. A Poverty Truth Commission is not about the civic and business leaders or community commissioners fixing issues on their own. Instead, it's about building relationships of trust so that difficult conversations might happen. Learning to listen to one another is crucial. Listening beyond words to connect first and foremost as human beings. Together, commissioners identify issues and begin to experiment with possible solutions. They might be about service design, policy change, awareness raising, building wider relationships, or many other areas in which the group together have the ability to act. The changes may appear small, but the learning and impacts are significant. Commissioners take new perspectives to their communities, organisations and everyday lives. This creates the longer-term impacts of the Commission. The Poverty Truth Commission gets beyond the stereotypes of suits and scroungers. It is no longer them and us. Just a bigger us. A bigger us that when it comes to tackling poverty, we can say together, nothing about us, without us, is for us. Thank you all for listening.
Thank you everyone for being here. I am Poole, one of the community commissioners. I am a survivor of domestic violence. I have experience of being in an abusive relationship, and this has impacted all parts of my life. It had a knock-on effect on where we lived, on my children, their schooling, my career, and my personal life. I have had to move many times and spent time in a refuge. At one point, my benefits stopped for almost 6 months. I had nothing, a complete lack of resources. I couldn't feed my 3 children. I relied on friends to provide me with milk and food. My family in Angola had to send me money. Food banks have saved me when times have been hard too. I have joined the Poverty Truth Commission to raise my voice, to be heard. I want to share my story to help others so that they don't have to experience the things I have experienced. Life has been hard and knocked me and my children, but I smile through the hard times and show resilience, even though I feel vulnerable sometimes. I would like to share a few words with you in Portuguese about my life. Sou mulher, mulher sofrida, mulher humilhada, mulher maltratada, mulher abandonada, mulher abusada. Sou mulher forte. És tu, mulher, com brilho nos olhos, com olhar único, com sorriso nos lábios. És tu, mulher forte. Valente, conseguistes lutar em uma guerra com garras e oração. És tu, mulher. Guerreira por natureza, com dureza e beleza. És tu, mulher. Ameaçada, caluniada, pressionada, isolada, perseguida e batida, mesmo cansada, não se cansa em seguir e prosseguir. És tu, mulher. Sucesso através do processo. És tu, mulher. Com um coração cheio de gratidão e paixão, e grata a Deus por tudo que Ele fez na minha vida. És tu, mulher forte. Paula Barrera. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Great. Like all of us, when you hear your voice go, oh, I don't like my voice. People used to say that all the time coming on a radio show. But I think Martin could be doing an advert for deep chocolate or something. And we're going to hear from him now, and then I'm going to interview him.
Thanks. So I would say that there's me and other people like me that had come from quite an average background, found it very hard on the street because it was totally new to us. Some people that had been in care or all their life on the street were already hardened to it. So for me, it was very much a culture shock, and I really had to think on my feet, which I didn't do very well because I was always drunk. So I would say I got taken advantage of a lot, both physically and financially. I got by on the streets really the same way as any alcoholic or addict gets through anything. I personally, and I think I'm speaking for many others, if not all of them, don't drink or use drugs because it makes you feel good. The real reason for drinking or using is to stop you feeling bad. It's a feeling blocker in a way. More specifically, an emotional blocker. Addicts and alcoholics have got in common the fact they don't do emotions very well, especially negative ones. And drinking drugs is a way of blocking that. So I coped on the street by not feeling, by drinking more. I would be drinking anyway because I'm an alcoholic, but living on the street just magnified my drinking. Funnily enough, what's inspired me to be part of Poverty Truth isn't giving back as an addict, it's giving back as a homeless person. I was faced with eviction because my landlady was selling her flat because of COVID or whatever her circumstances were. And I was faced with going back on the street again. which could have led me back into drinking and using again. It may or may not have done, I don't know, it didn't happen. I was fortunate enough to get a council flat, and maybe had I not been known to all the services and they knew what a sad case I was, maybe I wouldn't have got the council flat. And I'm really trying to give back as a homeless person, because it is very hard on the street.
Thank you. You did say that. Hearing such honesty, sometimes it's difficult to know what to do, whether applause is the right thing. But I know there's huge respect for what you shared there. We've chatted on various occasions, and just sort of unpacking some of that, you said it was like a sort of culture shock. If I said to you, pressed you a wee bit more in terms of the range of people you met and yourself, what does homelessness do to people on the street? What effect does it have, Martin?
Say it either, it definitely hardens you, so you become accustomed to it, and then, or it breaks you.
You go either way.
Yeah, but speaking for myself, it broke me before it hardened me. Which is a blessing in disguise.
I was going to say to you,
if it wasn't for breaking me, I wouldn't have taken my recovery seriously, or my detox. So
yeah, I remember we were chatting once, and you said it's almost like a good thing. I knew what you meant. So it's almost like you felt you had to hit rock bottom.
yeah, and it greatly accelerated that process. I don't know how much to share. I don't know how much time I've got. At one of the recovery meetings I do, we have alcoholics and addicts in the addiction services. And on one of my birthdays, which I celebrated, they actually said, "We haven't seen anyone as bad as you get well." And I asked what they meant by that, and they said, "Well, we've seen people as bad as you, but they're all dead."
Wow. God. We could talk a lot about this, and you know, I know people would want to sort of, you know, really learn from you in terms of your honesty and your self-awareness now. I'm interested to know why you got involved in the Poverty Truth Commission, because it's not necessarily a natural thing to do. What's drew you in, and what have you gained from it?
I would say I've gained, my experience of poverty and homelessness is all addiction based, and all the people I associated with on the streets were addicts and alcoholics. But it stretches, that's a very narrow point of view to have, or a very narrow scope, because there are people that have come from abusive backgrounds, all kinds. It's not just addiction. But addiction is the only experience I've got, so that's really all I can talk about.
We said, didn't we, in one of the groups, poverty is no respecter of people, you know, in terms of how poverty creeps up on us. I can tell from there's a quality about this silence, about what you've shared. Ladies and gentlemen, please show your appreciation for Martin.
I'm Debbie. It's good to see everyone. This is a poem I wrote called Home. This house was never a home. The day we moved in, someone had written, "Run while you can," in green chalk on the wall. I found it amusing at the time. This house was never safe. People came with gifts of flea-infested carpets and broken furniture. They were offers I couldn't refuse. My kids saw kind, smiling faces turn on us Their toys were destroyed and their bikes stolen. Vicious dogs threatened them as sneering owners stood by. This house did not hold peace. Social workers hounded me and old friends doubted me as I strived to escape my past. I tried to prove myself and improve myself with cleaning rotas and DIY. Through counselling and recovery, I fought to keep the demons from my door. But they entered uninvited, when everyone I loved either walked away or died. It brought my eldest son's escape from poverty and his perceived life of neglect. His mind tainted with poisonous words. His memories just far enough removed from the truth that might have saved us. He almost ran to the waiting car. He didn't look back to see his brother wave. Part of me went with him that day. As his hatred burns, I'll sit in the flames and love him there. Now, these walls are empty, undecorated, ugly. Old habits beckon with a wave and a cheeky grin. I long to jump into their embrace and taste oblivion once more. Sunshine comes from my youngest son. Warmth emanates from his smile. He's like a growing eagle whose wings are getting stronger. I can see clouds forming in our world. They're not welcomed, but necessary. He'll need the cool breeze to help him fly.
But now I'd finally like to invite our community commissioners to come on stage. They're going to share a poem together, which we produced as a sort of crowd community written poem at a workshop that we did together in June. So come and get yourselves up here. And I think it's a question of going to go in line. We've all got numbered lines. Going to go to the microphone there, on this side and off there. So use the microphone. Up you come. Hold on. I know you're on a roll, girl, but let's make sure we got them in the right order. How are we doing down there? Come on up. We want your microphone. We want to hear you. Up you come, please. Good stuff. Ready? Take him away.
I'll go off there.
No, use the microphone, do your first line, and then on we go.
Poverty is a beast. Poverty is a leech, attaching itself initially unnoticed to my life. It sucks, drains me of hope, laughter, and energy.
Poverty wasn't in my dreams, wasn't part of the plan. It tastes bitter and sour. Poverty is a cold winter wind, harsh and angry. It chills me to the bone in my freezing bedsit.
Poverty is life without luxuries, always there raising its ugly head.
Poverty is a meal of cold leftovers with a side order of embarrassment and shame. And the shame and embarrassment of putting my shopping back when my card is denied.
Poverty snatches away fragile hope like a seagull swooping down and stealing my moment of joy. And poverty is a scorpion there's always a sting in the tale. I count every penny, and yet still I'm drowning in debt.
Poverty slams doors marked opportunity and choice in my face. I am on outside looking in, patronized and marginalized.
Poverty is like vultures circling above a carcass of my former life to patiently pick over what is left.
Poverty is presumptuous and arrogant. It assumes it has beaten me, worn me down to nothing, to a nobody. That's not the truth. I am resilient. I have friends. I wake, I rise. I will be heard.